Well, hello there. I'm Jaime Jay. I'm talking with Derek Champagne, and we're talking about my entrepreneurial journey.
Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. The following interview is designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be. Your host, Derek Champagne, is the founder and CEO of the Artist Evolution, a full-service agency building successful brands, marketing tools, and campaigns, and also the author of the best-selling book, Don't Buy a Duck. And now, let's begin today's Leadership Series interview.
Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where our goal is to inspire you to become the best leader that you can be. This is our 100th episode, which is a big deal for us, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate it than to have one of my favorite people in the world, Jaime Jay, on our program today. He is an awesome entrepreneur. He's got an amazing story, and he's a friend. Jaime, thanks for being with me today.
Oh my gosh, Derek, I'm so excited. Congratulations, 100. That is so cool.
Thank you so much. We'll talk more about some of your podcasts. You have Stop Riding the Pine podcast, which is awesome. I've had the opportunity to be a guest. I'm a fan. I listen to it. And you are you're a serial entrepreneur, and we'll talk about some of your businesses, but you founded Slapshot Studio in 2013. You've had a lifelong passion for sports of ice hockey, and with your ability to build websites, you put this amazing brand together, and you do so much more than just websites, and I'll let you share that. But you've had a really interesting past, even the way you grew up. So do me a favor. I'd love to hear from your voice. Tell me a little bit about kind of your background, where you came from, and some of the highlights to where you are today.
Oh my gosh. Again, you're the man. I really respect what you do, and I love your demeanor, and thank you for having my girlfriend Sarah and I, taking us around and showing us a little bit about how beautiful Arkansas and Bentonville and all that stuff was. We had a real good time down there. So thank you so much.
We love you guys, but you know what? My kids do too. I remember we had lunch a couple months ago, and my son Eli at the end of it came up and gave you a big old hug. He didn't want you to leave, so.
It was so awesome, man. I still have those pictures where he's photobombing. It was great.
That's great. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So So again, thank you and congratulations. 100 shows. That is amazing. I've been doing the podcasting for about 3.5 years now. We just recorded our 203rd episode. So we're really excited and just had fun with it. I love this medium. It's just fantastic. But to give you a little bit of background on who I am, I have a crazy upbringing. Everybody says, well, were you in the military? Were you a military brat? And I am not. I was not a military brat. But my father moved around so much. It's kind of crazy because someone asks, well, where are you from? And I have to break it down by decade. So, when I was a little kid, I was born in San Jose, California, but then I moved to a little town called Douglas, Alaska, just across the channel from Juneau, when I was, I think, 2 or 3, and lived there for until I was probably 12 or 13. Well, we moved to Fairbanks, and I actually lived, believe it or not, in a town called North Pole, Alaska.
Wow! So you lived on the North Pole.
Well, it wasn't in the North Pole. It was actually southeast of Fairbanks, but they called it North Pole. Hey, Santa's shop is there, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. We would cross-country ski to the school bus stop, and it was great. I remember being an ice guard in the 6th grade. For lunch at recess, I'd go out and skate on the rink there. Every single school has a rink, and the buses, oh my gosh, they're all 4x4s. They have ski racks on them. It's just wild. It's a different way to grow up, but I tell you, it was a blast. I loved it. From there, we moved to Colorado, where I went to junior high and my first year of high school. Moved to California from there, and lived in a place called Huntington Beach, right on the water. And my PE class was surfing. It was crazy.
So cool.
And then from there, I went back and really got into hockey and building ice rinks and stuff like that. Moved to Las Vegas, and oh my gosh! And here I am now in Missouri. So yeah, it's kind of a scary question. I guess it's depending on who I'm talking with when they ask me where I'm from.
Well, that's gotta, I've got to imagine that contributes to some of. You're one of the easiest people to talk to. You everybody you meet becomes a friend. It really does. They want to be around you. You're just a great person to be around. our mutual friend Tom Schwab, his quote about you is, "There's not a court in America that would convict Jaime of a crime because he would probably know someone on the jury." And I mean, that's incredible. And you really do, so many people. Tell me about your obsession or your love of hockey, because I feel like every time I look on Facebook, you are doing, not every time, but you're doing something with hockey, and including with a bunch of the NHL players or teams somehow or another. So how did that start for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, it started, I think it was about 5 years old. So now I've been playing hockey for 42 years because I still play. And obviously never good enough to make it to the show, they call it, the National Hockey League. But you know what? It's all about fun. I know that when I go out there, I'm out on the ice, and the bonus is Sarah, my beautiful, awesome girlfriend. That's how we met. We met at the face-off circle on the ice. And so we get to skate together. We get to spend that time together. I just love it. I love the sport. We've been fortunate enough to develop some relationships with the St. Louis Blues and the St. Louis Blues Alumni Association, and really enjoy going to, alumni fantasy camps and meeting these pros that I used to idolize or still do and grew up with, and at the same time raise money for really, really, really cool causes. So ever want to give to a good cause, check out the St. Louis Blues Alumni Association. It's amazing. And I just have a lot of fun in the industry, because I think, number one, I enjoy hockey. It's my favorite sport. But at the same time, the people and what the sport has given back to me is it's unreal. It's amazing.
That's so cool. So let's talk business for a minute. And
sure.
We'll jump around a little bit, because that's what we do when we chat sometimes. I love talking with you. You left the Army you were a former paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division, 94. Thank you again for your service. It's amazing. And you started working in corporate America. So take me kind of around with some of the business things that you did, the companies you work for, and then what prompted you to go out on your own.
Oh, good question. Yeah, I left the military in January of 94 with $386.14 to my name. I was not a very good saver, but you didn't make that much money in the military anyway. So I got out and kind of worked kind of part-time as a waiter. And then one of my buddies got a job at a company called Pitney Bowes and said, "Hey, do you want to come work here?" And I'm like, sure, what do I do? And then I found out that it was office systems and fax machines and all that kind of stuff. That was my first kind of entry into the world of corporate America. And then from there, it went to Toshiba and Kia Ceramida. So it was in the same industry type, but I really learned a lot about sales and marketing and advertising and all that kind of stuff. And I was in the corporate world for about 12 years, and I ended up, it took me 12 years to realize this, but I didn't like it. I didn't like, and I don't, you probably know, and I know there's others out there that are in a very highly competitive industry, such as corporate American sales environment, where, boy, there's backstabbing. There's people that will get this to get their dollars, to get their quota, that just wasn't me. I just went, it was just kind of ugly, like yuck. So I got out of that and started my own deal. And that was a real estate ad agency in 2006. And really enjoyed that because it was my own deal, and well, I had a partner, but it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed the creativity and all that kind of stuff. And then 2008 hit. Everybody knows about the bubble, right? The housing bubble, and we lost 72 clients in about 3 months. And at the time, I was not saving. I was not being smart. I'm not saying I'm really smart today, but I was a lot not smarter back then. So yeah, that was a big challenge. So then I went back and got a job. I went back into radio, and I thought this would be really fun, be creative, because I love creativity. Right. And then I couldn't believe how much red tape was involved in radio. It was amazing. So I got out of that and got back into doing websites and started, just myself doing a couple jobs, like SEO jobs and a couple of websites. And then I found out, man, I'm kind of good at this and I'm getting more and more business. I might as well look into this. And I really started diving in and 2013, I never looked back. I started Slapshot Studio. Of course, Slapshot, I love hockey. And, I just brought my passion for the sport of hockey into my brand. And never looked back since.
It's incredible. And you've worked with clients in several countries, done several hundred websites, but you've got several companies too. So as an entrepreneur, I can see why you had trouble or where you weren't satisfied in some of these corporate environments beyond just the greed and the backstabbing is red tape is not the red tape and being limited on being able to use your creativity does not seem like it would be a good fit for you because you seem to always be creating and partnering and building things. And that seems like that's what you were born to do from how long I've known you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I remember we did this thing. Do you remember that show, Pimp My Ride?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I did this. I was working on a radio station, and one of the channels I worked for was Mega 100. It was the some oldies, 70s, which was oldies at that time. And so I came up with this Megamize My Ride, and I loved it, and it was an awesome thing. And oh my gosh, we had all these sponsors, and it was just cool. It was fun. But I had to go through so much legal red tape for that to make sure this was okay, this is okay, da, 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 da. And I'm like, oh my gosh, let's just do this already. And I don't think people realize, unless you are an entrepreneur, how freeing it is to be able to, take those limiting beliefs or expectations or just the limits off of anything that you want to do. It's you. It's what you want to do. It's what you believe in your heart, and go do it. Have fun with it.
Yeah, I love that. Great advice. Many of our listeners are in corporate jobs. They're in corporate America. So many of them love it. It's a good fit for them. As I remember sitting by the campfire at Evans Mill, which is for our listeners who have heard me talk about our mastermind group and View from the Top. We all get together, so guys from all different countries, and a few of the guys there were from corporate America, and they just said, we feel kind of left out. We don't own a company. And I said, there's 5 of us around the campfire that have our own businesses, and that's because we're unemployable. So you should be proud of yourself that you can work and thrive in the environment you're in. I just can't. It's just not a good fit for me. So I want to go back for a minute. We're not going to harp on it, but I want to talk about, because I heard the tone of your voice change even because it's painful to talk about. But you've heard me talk about some of my failures too. I've had a few businesses that have done well, and I've had a few that just, they were expensive lessons. They hurt my pride. The floor kicked out from under me. Tell me about the mindset where you were at and how you got out of it, because 2008, when to lose over 70 clients in 3 months, that had to have just been just life-changing. And I'd like to know how you got out, because regardless of whether we're entrepreneurs or not, we all go through tough times in our life. Life throws us curveballs that we just can't plan for. And I think it's the mindset and learning from people like you who've been through it and then came out the other side and thrived that can help us also get to the other side if we're going through something.
Yeah, thank you for that. And by the way, and the business that have been successful for you have been successful. So congratulations for you. And Lord Almighty, I think it was probably close to one of the 3 darkest times in my life. So to get a little real here, and the reason why I want to share this with you is because I want to give you a little perspective on I'm amazed. I'm here sometimes. It's not one time I really kind of came close and I considered doing something very, very bad to myself. And thank God I didn't. Well, some people, I don't know, but it's so I lost my little brother in 2005. He was riding a motorcycle to work and got hit by a car. So I lost, and that number one by far. My brother and I were best friends. And most brothers that grow up and they'll wrestle and they'll fight and do all that and argue and stuff. And my brother and I think we had one fight our entire lives, like one actual fight. Wow. You cannot mess with my brother, and for my little brother, you cannot mess with me, right? It just, oh my God, yeah, I love Steven. He's amazing, and I even have a tattoo of him on my leg. Wow, I just love him. Yeah. So that was probably number 1. Number 2 was probably losing that business, and number 3 was not learning from that and losing another business again 2 years later. And it got to a point where, I had to call a buddy up, and he drove 2 hours to meet me to bring me a bag of groceries because I didn't have any food. It was bad. So when I say it was bad, it was bad. But the reason I'm sharing this is I don't mean all doom and gloom, but I think it's so important that life can get a lot worse. I still had, it can get a lot worse. Someone asked me the other day that they're like, why are you so happy? I said, dude, I woke up, I can see, I'm walking, and they're like, what? And I'm like, dude, I'm so happy that I can see and I can walk and I can talk, like I'm stoked. And I think that's one of the benefits I have, and is that I've seen how really gnarly it can get. And so many people take their lives for granted, and they get upset over things that I wouldn't get upset about. Maybe, the dog getting fed that morning, or maybe something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something.
We have too much work to do, or not enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's too much work to do.
The smallest things can just wreck us, and it's our perspective. But tell me, man, first of all, thank you for sharing that. And you definitely do have a positive demeanor. And I mean, this helps explain some of your constant smiling and great attitude. And it seemed like you're always investing in other people. Tell me, though, how did you... That's such a dark time. How did you? Was there an aha moment for you that said, you know what, I got this. Life is bigger. I'm gonna move on. Did anything hit you? Was there a moment for you, or was it a process, or a combination?
I think it might have been a combination, but I think of it a bit of a process. But I have to say, my underlying personality is and some people hate this, but I love it. I'm a dreamer. Yeah. And so I remember I was in one summer after my divorce. I went to the island of St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I was a jet ski tour guide. I made $8 an hour. And I was there for, I don't know, about a year or so. And it was probably not the smartest thing for me to do. I really should have focused on really getting back in and rebuilding my life. But I did it. And literally I found out about an opportunity. And 7 days later, I was on a flight. And I went down there, and I remember when I was coming back, I put my feet in the water, and I said, don't forget this, don't forget this, don't forget this. And still to this day, I can clearly picture that crystal blue water, looking through, seeing my feet dangling in the water, waiting for the ferry to come pick me up to fly me back to California. And I think because of the power of dreaming and the power of really wanting to achieve something, to be able to get in that water, put my feet in that water again, as simple as that sounds, it's very motivating to me.
Right. Wow, that's great. I appreciate you sharing that. As we've learned in a book we read recently, and I don't remember who quotes it, but behind every mountain are more mountains. We're always going to have things to deal with, and some are larger than others. But you know what? There's people that get wrecked by smaller things than you shared, and they don't recover, and their life spirals out, and they don't come back and find happiness, and they just never fully recover. And life's full of people that way, and we all have our things that we deal with. But man, yours are big and they're powerful, and you found a way to get past it. And that is one thing about you is you it seems like you're not afraid to try new things, and you do chase your creativity. And I want our listeners to know that I haven't shared it enough, but Jaime owns several successful companies. He's on the top podcasts and shows in the country. He's got some. You think of a top business person, Jaime probably knows them. All of my buddies say that guy's the most connected person I know. And again, it's because of your mindset and just the way you come out and help other people. But you just got great ideas, and now you own all these successful companies that are growing, and you continue to evolve. And man, I appreciate you sharing your story to this point.
Heck yeah, thank you.
Is there any advice you would share to a listener that's going through something right now, that's something tangible, touchable, that you say, this is, if you're going through something right now, and many are, is what's the next step for them? What do they do?
Yeah. I won't say the thing that most people would say and take action and do something like that. I think that they're probably not going to like what I say, and life's going to suck for a little bit. And just know that. And I think if you can understand and look at life and say, hey, this is not good right now, and it's going to be like this for a little while, But instead of focusing on that, if you can set your expectation and realize, hey, I'm in a bad spot right now, and realize it, like accept it. Okay, I'm in a bad spot. I accept this. Now, how do I get out of here? Like, where do I want to go? And I wouldn't set something like in 5 years I want to be here. No. Get that out of your mind. I would say, where am I going to be next month? Right. So what do I need to do to get there? And then I had a great conversation with a gentleman the other day, Jim Brown. And he said, well, if you want to do that, that means you got to get 167 people. That's like 37, people you got to contact to get 100. And I'm just going, whoa. But then he backed it up and he goes, dude, basically between now and then, you got to make 4 calls a day. And I was like, oh, well, that's pretty easy. Right. So right away, okay, if I want to be able to do this, you just back it up and break it down to its simplest forms. And I think once you break it down to its simplest forms, then you're going to be good. And I think segmenting out your day is really, really important. So if you're having a challenge, take that first hour of the day, get all your stuff done. And boy, you know what I did this morning? Actually, I woke up and I got a nice kiss from Sarah. She had to go up. She was a personal trainer, so she went and trained. She leaves at like dark 30 in the morning. And she goes, okay, just make sure, I checked the chalkboard. So there's this little chalkboard in the kitchen. And I'm like, okay, I got my list. And I came in there and it says, walk the dog. Hey, it's 50 degrees outside. Take a jacket. Like she has this all done. The dishwasher is there and the crock pot needs to put here. And so by 7:45, I'd walked the dog, fed the dog, put the crock pot away, put the dishes away, had a fresh cup of coffee, and I felt like I did more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
That's awesome. That's great.
It was awesome. Little things.
That's great. I love that. Yeah, and something else thank you for sharing that. It seems like something else that you practice often is when you're going through something is to look at others and practice the gratitude of what you do have, like you mentioned, your health and those other things, and then look outward to helping other people too, that either they're going through something similar or they're going through something worse. And for my bad days, I can think of several relatives that are fighting cancer right now. And so it kind of puts in perspective how small my problem is. Very real to me, but it's just a little mountain, and there's going to be mountains. I love your mindset. Hey, you have something you say that's failure is in your mind and your mind alone. What does that mean?
Failure is in your mind alone. Nobody else cares. They really don't. It's just you. There's nobody other use. There's no other use. Right. It's just you. And I never compare yourselves to others. There's always going to be someone that's going to be faster, better, quicker, earlier, later. There's always going to be someone, but there's never going to be somebody that is you. And so I think just because you may think, oh man, I'm a failure, someone else may look at that and go, holy cow, what did you learn out of that? Right. And they pick something like, dude, you know what not to do. That's as if not more important than what to do.
It really is. I love that. Yeah. Thank you. And I love the mindset that you have. I love the guys that we get to be lucky enough to be around and things like our mastermind groups. And to our listeners, I get to hang out with guys like Jaime Jay that make me a better person and help us look at things the way that we maybe should to be more successful with our businesses and our family and in life and all of those things. So, and everybody has a little bit different take on it. So on that vibe, I'd love to hear from you. What does success look like for Jaime Jay? How do you measure success for your own life with your own goals? That
Sarah is happy. That's a big deal. When she's not happy, I'm not happy. And it may or may not have contributed directly to me. Half the time it probably was something that I did or overlooked, or maybe I was working too hard or something like that. But making sure that she's happy, her daughter's happy, my mom's happy, that to me is success. And I think it's a continual, I don't want to say struggle. That's a really bad word. It's a balance thing, though, isn't it? Yeah. And there's no such thing, in my opinion, as a work-life balance. I just don't think there is such thing. But I think there is balance in your life. I really do. And I think if people are happy and I'm around happy, that to me is success. And I got it. okay, so you are really good at this. Like you just came out with a pretty killer course, you and your wife, right?
Thank you. Yes.
And you are probably killing it right now, or in your business, you're probably killing it, but nobody sees all the late nights that you and your wife worked on that.
Right.
They don't know. And you guys worked your hind quarters off on that to make it what it is.
Right.
That's my definition of success. Not what other people see you for, but doing things that other people wouldn't do to achieve a certain success in your life.
You went back to being creative and creating something, and I agree with you on that. I mean, the fruition of you've got one of the top podcasts in the country for business. It's amazing, but you producing those and getting to do the interviews is success for you. That's success for me as well, for just getting to do the interviews and getting to talk with people that I want to meet and learn from, and put it out there. So yeah, I love that. It's a great perspective. Hey, of all the things that you've done, and you've had some ups and downs, but you've done a lot of great things. And this is another thing about you that's really amazing is you I don't hear you brag too much. And maybe you do in certain circles, but I've not heard it a lot. I hear from other people all the things you're doing.
I hope not.
You've got all these companies, and well, maybe not everything, but how do you? What's your proudest? Again, we know what success means to you. But you can brag a little bit. What's your proudest personal accomplishment, and what's your proudest professional accomplishment?
Proudest personal accomplishment is recovering and being a good person with a good heart after the multiple tragedies. Yeah. That's a man, to hit that series 2005, 2007, 2009. Wow. Oh gosh. And then my proudest business accomplishment. Ooh, that's a good one. I would say it's you know what? I think it's probably Slapshot Studio or, Bottleneck or one of the companies, because I feel so good having an incredible staff that has a very similar belief system. We all support one another. And I can't tell you, you know this, and other business owners know this. It feels so good to be in a position to help basically provide an opportunity for people to take care of their families. I just love that. Yeah. It's very empowering, very moving, and emotional to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that, and you really do show that through your actions. So that's great. How many? Can I ask how many companies you have right now?
Yeah, we have 4.
So how do you do a great job from what I've seen of having a great idea. You do a really good job of finding a need in the marketplace, a hole in the marketplace, and creating a solution, which, I'm in a saturated market. I think that we do that in a unique way in our saturated market, but we're still really hitting our unique value proposition in a crowded space and growing in it. But you find some really unique ways of doing that. And then you're able to bring on good partners and bring on a good team. Are there some key things that you do that you identified in how you build and motivate your team and how you select your team? Because you're doing it really well, and then it seems like you're able to, yes, you got your sleeves rolled up and you're working really hard, but you're able to empower them to help run the companies.
Yeah, I love that question. Oh my gosh, I love that question. And I'd be curious to see how you answer this one.
No, I'm asking you because I want to
learn. But I think one of the problems I had is obviously entrepreneurial squirrel syndrome. I call it ESS. Oh, yeah. I just made that up. So I have S on occasion, and Sarah will definitely point that out. However, I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is that I need to make sure that when I'm focusing on a new opportunity, that I focus on that new opportunity and don't move on to another until the systems are in place for that existing opportunity. That being said, I don't know what it is, but if I see something in the market, like I really like doing websites, but there's a lot of websites companies out there. And so I tried to fill a need in the world of big business, because right now the number one expense in business is administrative costs. That's the number one expense.
Wow.
And I found this out through research, and I found out that it's really expensive. Not only to hire people, the average cost to hire people is about $4,900 in the U.S. It takes about $4,900 to hire someone. So if you lose that person, you're going to be in big trouble. So I look at something, and the reason I'm being specific into this niche is to kind of give you an idea and perspective on how I would go about choosing my partners or the staff. So what I do is I'll identify that, and that's a pain point. Like, people don't like that. But then if you turn around, instead of saying, hey, it's not about what you save, how much is one more client worth to you, or how much is one more, widget worth to you? If we could bring on one more, how much is that lifetime value? Something like that, whatever it may be. And then instead of going in cold into that industry, whatever it may be, meet people within the industry and be introduced to them by other influencers like yourself, right? You, I would consider an influencer. Whether or not you admit it, you're pretty flippin' amazing and smart, and a lot of people look up to you because you do what you say you're going to do, and you do it really, really well.
Well, I appreciate that.
And so I would look to other influencers that have a good reputation, that have established an authority in that given niche, and work with them. And then what the cool thing is a lot of times I get bogged down in the details, the minutia, the marketing, wherein if I now am fortunate enough to be in a position to where I've established systems and workflows, so I can bring the infrastructure and the relationships that I've built over time and partner up with somebody that kills it in marketing and has great authority and really enjoys that aspect. That, to me, is a really good relationship. So that way, I'm introduced to a new audience, but I'm not introduced as a cold call type audience, but I'm introduced to them as a friend of someone they like, love, and trust. And to me, that really, really helps kickstart any new opportunity.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. I like your strategy, and you do that really well. So how do you, with everything you have going on, we just got a few more questions here. How do you keep focus? I mean, you did mention that you finished one project first, and the what you made up, the ESS, the Entrepreneurial Squirrel Syndrome. Is that yours?
Yeah, I just made it up on this show.
I love it.
I like it.
You're gonna have to keep using that. That's great. I love it. I'll be using that going forward too. That's awesome. How do you say? Because I've got that same syndrome, and I have learned. And I promised my wife over 10 years ago, I said, when we start this agency, I promise you I will stay focused on this one. I'll incubate it. I'll protect it from the ESS.
Yeah.
And we basically have. It doesn't mean we haven't taken good or safe or risks that made sense or we've had growth, but it's a constant struggle. And we've had our mutual consultant Aaron Walker. I remember last year he said 2017 is the year of no. And he told me that, and it resonated with me, and I had to say no to more things, and things keep popping up that I want to do. How do you choose what is a good idea to do, and then how do you maintain focus to actually stay focused to do it?
That's the $1 million question, and I think I think it can come down if you can take your emotions out of it and basically come down to a Ben Franklin, pros and cons. And then what are the pros and cons as far as what's the amount of time this is going to take me? Is it going to interfere with this? Is it going to, I kind of do my little Ben Franklin for everything, but I'm literally practicing what I preach right now by winding down a couple of the businesses that I'm working in. So I built, as you heard, the systems. So I have somebody that totally runs Bottleneck, my virtual assistant company. Then I have somebody that's totally running the hiring and then the marketing for the therapy assistant company. Now my girlfriend, Sarah, has taken over the podcast pilot. She's running all of that.
Awesome.
So that has taken a lot off of my table. And now, but notice the systems are done. So the thing that's taken the most time is my Slapshot studio. And that's because every month we're marketing and building and developing and building. And then we're marketing again and building and develop. Every month we've got to do the same thing. And so I thought, well, heck, what happens if I wind that down? What's the worst case scenario that happens? What is the best case scenario that happens? what happens if I maintain that brand, because it's a decent brand.
Right.
I mean, I think it's a fantastic brand. It's the best brand in the world next to yours, of course.
You've got a great brand.
But if I kind of tweak and pivot the product offering or the service offering and maintain the brand integrity, what will that do? How will I find my time? How will I be able to leverage more? And so that's how I started it. And then so I came out to this plan. Hey, I'm only going to take on 10 clients next year instead of 10 to 20 clients a month. That was a huge revelation for me.
Right.
And so we'll have a much higher ticket, value with less clients, and we can go deeper with those clients and build bigger relationships and really provide better customer service overall, rather than these one-offs that we have to continually move and move and move and move. That's kind of how I approach things, and that's how I was thinking about it.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for sharing that. And I love that we talk about pivoting, and you do a really good job at doing that. And pivoting and it is important, especially with the type of industry that you're in with Slapshot, being able to make those movements. So that's great. And being able to go deeper with clients, I love that. That's our model as well. And it's really fulfilling from a creative standpoint to get to make and help those grow. Man, congratulations on all the success that you've had and the lessons that you've learned that you've been open to sharing with us. Can you tell us, do you want to share a couple of resources with us for how we can learn more about you? So plug a couple of your companies if you don't mind. You've got a couple that are very relevant to our audience.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, thank you very much. And you're amazing, Derek. You really are. And just like in ISI and the different places I go, everybody talks about Mr. Derek Champagne. You know your stuff, man.
Well,
so it is a privilege and an honor to chat with you and just to even know you, man.
Same feels.
But yeah, so I think, heck, you can. I finally beat out Jaime Jay, the singer, so you can Google me now.
That's awesome.
But you can go to Slapshot Studio to learn more. You can learn more about us at Bottleneck. You can Google Bottleneck Virtual Assistants, and I think Podcast Pilot. So we do podcast editing, writing. We do podcast coaching. Well, I should say Sarah does that now, but it's I think if anyone ever wanted to reach out just to chat or anything, by all means, just you can Google or you can email me, and I just love chatting with anybody. But yeah, that's pretty easy.
Awesome.
Pretty searchable.
Man, Jaime Jay, thanks again. Jaime Jay founded Slapshot Studio. He's got Bottleneck. This is a great resource for virtual assistants, and they give great guidance, and they give best tips for how to be successful with that model, and it is really great. And Podcast Pilot, which is a great resource for you if you're interested in doing a podcast and being a thought leader and using that medium. It's so powerful. Jaime Jay is one of the case studies who's doing it really, really well as a guest and as a host and helping others. So great resources to go out to. We'll put the links in the show notes. And Jaime, thanks again, and we look forward to continuing to see the amazing things that you come up with and that you do.
Thank you so much. I would like to invite people to go check out 3-Day MBA, the number 3daymba.net. It's an event that we're hosting in St. Louis, April 17th through 19th. And Derek Champagne is going to talk.
Oh, that's right. 3-day. Yeah, that's good. I'm so excited about this event. Yeah, give us the dates on that. I'll give an extra plug for that too in our show notes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's 3-Day MBA, and MBA stands for Masters of Business Academy. And this is going to be an event like no other. And a lot of people say that about their events, but I'm really excited about this one because after the event, a lot of times people kind of have to figure out what they need to do. Well, we're going to have a continuity program. So when you leave the event, we're going to show you everything you need to do in order to help you run your business. We're going to have people talking about legal. Derek, you're going to be there just killing it. They're going to be talking about marketing, accounting, and that's the number 3daymba.net. And that's going to be April 17th through the 19th, 2018. I can't believe I'm saying 2018, but awesome. 2018 in St. Louis, Missouri.
It's going to be a big one. I've seen some of the guests, some of the speaker lineup, and it's amazing. And these are people that are passionate like Jaime and myself and a bunch of rock stars in their industries, really passionate about what they do for the right reasons. They're there to help and invest in others. And so it's going to be one of the best events to really get a 3-day MBA and then get continued resources. You'll hear me continue to promote and plug that as it gets closer, because I'm obviously going to be there, and I'm excited to get as many of our listeners there as we can as well. So, man, thanks again, Jaime, and we'll talk with you soon, buddy.
Thank you.
I want to invite you to join me in supporting the American Diabetes Association. I've got the honor of being a Kiss a Pig candidate this year, which means I have the opportunity to help raise money for the American Diabetes Association locally. The ADA has been funding innovative research to combat diabetes since 1955. And in 2011, they funded more than $35.75 million a year in research at 139 research institutions across the country. The statistics, approximately 1.25 million American children and adults have type 1 diabetes. As many as 1 in 3 American adults will have diabetes in 2050 if present trends continue. I want to invite you to join me in supporting the American Diabetes Association. You can learn more at diabetes.org or stopdiabetes.com to see how you can get involved.
You've been listening to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. This interview was designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be.